my mom, this is now a Kisii woman, right?
Yeah.
She ran around the parking lot praising and thanking God, singing in Kisii.
Oh, wow.
And people thought she had lost her mind.
Oh, wow. In celebration.
In celebration with tears. And my dad was just, he fell on his knees, and I don't know what he was doing. But ultimately, it was just a testament of what we've gone through the last couple of years. Now, we have been doing our research. You are the first. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean I'm the first? And when he broke it down, you are the firstborn, I was also in shock because we as Kenyans, we've lived in this country for how long?
For a very long time.
For a very
time.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
For a very long time. Mm-hmm. I've been in this country for a couple of decades now. And to hear that I am the first in this space was definitely something that, to this day, I'm still humbled by it. So...
Now, of course, tonight, it's not her first time. It's the return. But now it's to Representative Huldah Momanyi Hilsley from the Minnesota House of Representatives. And the last time she joined us, she was running for office. Today, she returns as the first Kenyan-born representative in the Minnesota State House and any U.S. State House legislature. So, of course, tonight we are honored to be joined once again by Huldah Momanyi Hilsley, a daughter of Kenya, and now a voice of legislation and leadership in the United States. Karibu sana.
We don't have those people.
You took us back to Kisii land, eh?
Sorry.
And we're going to be talking about Kisii land, but how are you feeling today?
Did she beba uji?
Yeah.
She didn't bring it.
Sasa we won't ask for uji.
Sorry.
Tuliza Mbegu. Omosh, it seems like today you have...
Omosh is on fire today.
You know the problem with Omosh, when he's supposed to be talking, he'll go silent for like 45 minutes. And then when it's not his turn...
I'm here. Yeah. I'm here. I was just asking a question. Did she bring uji?
And then when
it's a very simple question.
When it's not his turn,
and she knows why I was asking. But as you are...
He's right. I should have brought uji and matoke because I come from the county of Plenty.
Okay.
So that is... I've fallen short.
Okay.
So apologies, DJ Mosh.
Okay.
Nisawa.
Bakaribu sana. How are you feeling today?
I am such... I'm in awe. Sometimes some of us sit here and we watch you guys here do your thing day in and day out, producing really amazing content. And now I'm here. And like you said earlier, right? I was here before the elections, and now sitting here as a House of Representatives and really talking about things that matter not only to our community. Mm-hmm. I'm honored. I'm excited. I feel like I'm sitting amongst my brothers, my older brothers. And so let's get the show rolling. And everybody, please tune in. If you are on social medias, please follow OneMicShow. Let's get this show rolling.
Okay. Now, before we get it rolling,
yes.
People are seeing you in Washington, D.C. You're a representative in Minnesota.
Yes.
What exactly are you doing in D.C.?
Thank you, Brother Ali.
Yeah.
I am here because I got invited with Kenyan Diaspora. I am a proud member of Kenyan Diaspora. And so I am here to inspire our women to continue to grow, not only economically, but socially. Okay. And then also to engage our people here, Kenyans in diaspora, in terms of how do we, and we'll talk about this some more, how do we participate civically, and how do we do it in a manner that actually brings us value. So that's why I'm here. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun weekend. We have a whole entire business day tomorrow. And then in the evening, we're going to turn up. We're going to have some fun. And we're going to finish with being inspired.
Okay, all right. We're going to talk about that turning up. But let me come to DJ Omosh Fire. It's his official turn to speak.
Yes.
But anyway, DJ Omosh Fire, karibu sana. Like ulikuwa umeroga watu na mziki pale mwanzo. Thank you so much for that. But what do you expect tonight from Miss Momanyi?
Pengine a tender, and
a brown envelope.
Yes. Okay. Unajua, when you know mtu ambaye they are in power.
When you know people who know people.
Yes, mtu ameka mali kuna stature.
Okay.
Sasa mama forget that we're in America.
It doesn't matter. See, that's our expectation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So it's these are your expectations.
These are our expectations.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. He said our
ni sisi kama wa Kenya. Mimi kama representative wa Kenya. Ingawa sisi ni watu wa at this point we are one. In fact, you're no longer Kisii, wewe ni wetu. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But jokes aside, just more on what it actually means now. What are you able to do in terms of as a sitting representative in Minnesota, and with the times that we have now with the immigration footprint? How do you, or how can you, what should we, Yani, just help us.
DJ Tumefika, and we are there. Obviously, we are in a situation where, we are having executive orders from the federal government, and that's impacting us, especially as of us who are in the diaspora. And we've seen what those executive orders have done, right? We are seeing an increase in raids. There's stories every single day. Even within my district of Senate District 38A, the city of Brooklyn Park, we have had a couple of deportation and execution by ICE. And so from my end, as a legislator, I want to be very clear in terms of creating understanding and boundaries in terms of what I'm able to do at the state level, because immigration is a federal issue, right? Sometimes people look at me and they're like, nimefika, but there are perimeters within my role. And so, but from my end, what we've been trying to do is educate our community, the do's and don'ts. If you get stopped, what do you do? If ICE shows up at your door, what do you do? And I was able to partner with key stakeholders in our community, working at AG of the Minnesota state. And then that's the Attorney General, Keith Allison, the Hennepin County Attorney General as well, and then a couple of other lawyers, immigration lawyers. We had a town hall to talk about what does that look like? What do you need to do? And then we provided services. And then also, if anything else, if all else fails, people know to reach out to my office, because we have compiled resources for our people, from lawyers to actual items that you can take with you to be prepared. Because a lot of times what we have discovered, if you don't know the law and how the law can protect you, you put yourself in situations where it'll be impossible to even help yourself. Even if somebody finally came in to help you, it's difficult. So it's a complex place we're in, and I want to acknowledge that. And so the best thing that we can do right now, Minnesota has been at the forefront of making sure that we are protecting everybody in that state. And that is making sure that, people know the law and how that applies for them. Because once you know, you have a better chance of fighting whatever it is that is coming down, especially when it comes to immigration.
Okay, Asante sana Hulda. And we are going to be talking about immigration, because that's a big issue and a lot has been happening. Just want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the One Mic Show. The number to call in is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Of course, in studio, we have Minnesota State Representative Hulda Momanyi Hillsley. She's in D.C. She has an event that she's attending tomorrow. And the first place that she chose to be when she got to D.C. was the One Mic Show. So we're very honored for that. So if you have any question for her, you want to talk to her, Omosh was asking if she's going to be supplying brown envelopes or tenders and that kind of thing. We are going to find out if that's possible here in the U.S. or how it works in the U.S. Because the U.S. also has their own version of corruption in politics. So we're going to be talking
a Minnesota address.
Yes, we're going to be talking to Hulda about that later on. But in the meantime, let me also welcome Mubelwa Bandio, who's also in studio with us. And maybe Bandio, maybe just tell us one or two things about what you expect tonight from Hulda before we proceed. Bandio, karibu sana.
So I'm only expecting what we always do here, the three things. We educate, entertain, and engage. So Mosh did the entertainment, and now I think it's the time that I guess more than any time we need a lot of education. Now we have somebody from inside. I want to say the insider. But
we have an insider.
Ins and outs and what to do, and this is why we're here. And the last thing, I'm asking everybody to call, because that's our third portion of it, to engage. So welcome everybody, but tunasema kuelimisha, kuburudisha na kushirikisha. So
burudisha na shirikisha. Yes. Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. A number of comments were coming in as we were speaking. I can see Mwakisha Mgendi Brai anasema mambo ni mengi sana kusini na kaskazini. And then Washeke Ndirang wanasema leo niko Juba, South Sudan. I'm here to agitate for Honorable Machar. Wow. Washeke was in Kiev. She's in all the war zones, all the places where...
This Washeke character,
yes,
she needs to give us her miles.
She does. She does.
Kuna vile si waga tunaendaga Kenya,
She
and
was in
sometimes
Kiev.
vitu waga mbaya.
She's been in cities that we can't even pronounce.
But just imagine how many miles she's racked.
Well, we'll talk about that later. We'll see if
Companion
she can.
fare.
If she has taken a selfie with Riek Machar or Salva Kiir, she'll tell us more about that.
Baba went there and he couldn't see the guy. So how is she gonna take a selfie?
Wow. Okay. Sawa. That's another conversation we're gonna be having today.
Sorry.
Brown Sugar anasema hello. Karibu sana Brown Sugar. We've missed you. It's been a while since we saw you. And then Tabitha is also in the building. Alan Otis is also in the building. Also the YouTube family. I can see why Remo is already in the building. Anasema hello friends, greetings from Kosti ya Magharibi. Another one that
I don't know, but Swahili is not my tongue.
Okay. Sawa. And then and then Marimo is telling Hulda congratulations. So going back to you, Hulda, that election night, when you were announced as the winner, walk us through that, because I know there was a lot of very stressful nights, weeks, even months before that night. So walk us through after you voted, the counting process, and then the moment.
Yeah, so like you said, and you have been following my story and the work that has gone into it. I remember 2 nights before election night, I was sitting on the curb at 3 a.m. at an apartment complex waiting for more literature from one of my teammates to bring over. And I was exhausted. And one of my team members took a picture of me. And I look back at that picture and I just remember the hard work that went into it. And so, we went all the way until 8 p.m. that night. That's when the polls were closing. I remember dropping somebody off at 7:59 to vote. And so going into, that night, I was extremely exhausted, but optimistic and hopeful. But then again, I was also reliving the trauma of 2022. Remember, I ran for Senate in 2022 and I lost.
And you lost, yes.
So in my head, I'm like, hey, yes, the momentum is on our side, but the 2022 trauma still was in my mind. But this time was different. The energy was different. So I'm walking up to the place where we had our watch party. And my team was outside lined up, just like last time, So that gave me that lived anxiety all over again. But this time around, it was different how they approached me, And I remember my campaign manager giving me a big old hug, lifting me up and saying, we did it. All precincts have been counted. You did it. And I just couldn't believe it. I remember my mother and my father, I had driven with them. My mom, this is now a Kisii woman, right?
Yeah.
She ran around the parking lot, praising and thanking God, singing in Kisii.
Oh, wow.
And people thought she had lost her mind.
Oh, wow. In celebration.
In celebration with tears. And my dad was just, he fell on his knees, and I don't know what he was doing. But ultimately, it was just a testament of what we've gone through the last couple of years. Not only myself, I'm talking about the people who supported my campaign. Because a lot of times, my brother, when a candidate is running, you see that candidate as the figure of their campaign. But what a lot of people don't realize is the support that they have behind.
There's a whole machinery.
It's a whole machinery behind that candidate. And so it was a testament of their work. It was a testament of their sacrifices, because most of these people, I couldn't afford to pay them what they were worth. So it was also a win for them, and of course the community, and the realization that I have won and I'm the first. And that whole thing of being the first, I didn't realize about. I didn't know about it until Tom Guitar from Mushale.
Yes.
He's the one who called me several times. I missed his call, and I was like, he never calls me like that. So I answered the call, and he goes, "We have been doing our research. You are the first." And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean I'm the first? And when he broke it down, you are the firstborn, I was also in shock, because we as Kenyans, we've lived in this country for how long?
For a very long time.
For a long time.
For a very long time. I've been in this country for a couple of decades now. And to hear that I am the first in this space was definitely something that, to this day, I'm still humbled by it. So it was just a testament of the hard work that we put in. And also just a reminder that we have a long way to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have a long way to go. And of course, that's Hulda Momanyi Hillsley. Number to call if you want to speak to her. She's now Representative Hulda Momanyi Hillsley. I even have to remember to call her that. In Kenya, we use the term mheshimiwa, but that term mheshimiwa is sometimes very corrupted and used even for people.
Corrupted.
Yeah, it's extremely corrupted.
Everybody understand.
yes,
Everybody in Kenya is mheshimiwa.
Yeah.
They are all mohesh. As long as
Mohesh.
if you ran or if you have money, you are mohesh.
Or as long as someone is trying to ask for money from
Yes.
you,
You are
call them
mohesh.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
But again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We want you to engage. We want you to talk to Hulda. We want you to ask her any questions. This might be your only opportunity to speak to a U.S. government official. Like I said earlier, in this situation that we're in, if there's an emergency here, she'll be picked up and the rest of us will be left to fend our way because she's now... could we call you a U.S. asset, or that's going to be a bit extreme, or that's going to sound...
We let people determine.
Okay. All right. Yes. And here Mwakisha is saying true, whole machinery of people behind success. So that's very good to know. Now another thing, Hulda, is how was the transition from the campaign trail to now going through that orientation towards going into office?
So nobody tells you that there's a transition. A very it's a switch. You have to make a switch, right?
Yeah.
So you are over here in your mind as a candidate running on a platform, ideas and dreams that you have for your community. But then, Maze, when you are now elected, these people here don't play. On the 7th of November, we were at the Capitol doing orientation. When does orientation happen in Kenyan politics once you're elected? Want to take how long?
Because between the elections and in the US, the elections, there's a big gap between the election night and when people are sworn in. Because I know the presidency goes all the way to around January 20th, and these other offices, it's early January, the first week of January.
But keep in mind, now that I'm on the other side, keep in mind, there's a difference between, once you win, you become representative-elect, right?
Yes.
Between that period, the reason why, at least from my experience, is
or
because
in Swahili we call them mteule. Rais mteule.
Raisi mteule.
Yeah, so that's why mimi mteule, there's something I'm waiting for. We don't know what it is, but it's coming. But
it's
anyway,
coming.
Yes.
So during that time, there's a lot of administration stuff that needs to happen. Obviously, the team on the ground has to make sure that everything is laid out, ready for you to come and assume office. So by the time you get sworn in, everything is ready. Your office is ready. Your team of, whether that is communications, everything, your desk, all of that stuff is in order. So, and then also as a candidate now, representative-elect or, official-elect, there's a lot of orientation that you have to go through, right? So November 7th, we had our first day at the Capitol. That was the initial welcome to the House. This is what this is, because sometimes some of us have never stepped a foot in that place, right?
Yes.
And so from there was additional orientation where we went on a retreat. And so by the time we got sworn in, I believe for us it was January 12th, and obviously you're familiar with what went on in Minnesota, where the Democrats, refused to give the Republicans a quorum because of everything that happened. So we set out for 3 weeks. And so for us, that was an additional time to really get acquainted with everything that we needed to get ready. And so by the time we get sworn in, we are ready to literally jump in and start drafting bills and start, making legislative decisions on behalf of the people who elected us.
Okay, all right. Mwakisha Mgendi here has been, giving in some comments. Anasema mambo ni mengi sana as a legislator, educate people. Mhesh ni jina sio nzuri. Wewe ni mfanyikazi wa watu.
I think we're kuzungumzia mheshimiwa.
Oh, okay. And then hapa Mwakisha anasema tena orientation Kenya iko after kuapishwa, bado uko mteule. And then I have Amin Ali. Amin karibu sana. Anasema what executive order meaning to laws of presidents of United States of America. So hapo Amin Ali, tell us, rephrase that. I think maybe you're asking what do executive orders mean to laws of I don't know exactly what that means.
Huyo jamaa ametumia better English ama junior
Yeah,
English?
hiyo hapo, like tell us, rephrase that, and we're gonna
Ama andike na Kiswahili.
we are gonna answer your question. Yeah. So, but just coming back here in studio, DJ Moshfire, from the moment that we interviewed Hulda,
Yes.
and then she won. And between us interviewing her, we saw that Kenyan media also picked up on her.
Correct.
Yeah, and they started contacting her to get interviews on Kenyan media. What do you think like we need to do extra or better as a show in order to highlight Kenyans out there who might be interested or maybe might be looking for direction towards running for office in the US? DJ Omosh.
We have a very unique platform, and I think as guys, we may not necessarily realize how unique it is. It's the folks who are from the outside who like Hulda coming in. She's like, you heard her comments, right? And what she sees versus what we see is the difference. And so from that perspective, if we take our hats off and put on the hats of those who are on the outside looking in, then we would probably even, like the way companies have a CSR.
Yes.
We would have like something like that for the community, because this is community outreach, community service for our community, our people and our diasporans, because as we always say, elections are normally local, right? And so if we are supposed to have that footprint or have that be able to put that stamp on it, then we have to push this locality, whether it's local Kenyans, Africans, or blacks. And at some point, based upon how things are happening right now and what we see, we really, really, really have to be very what's the right word, pinpointed. We have to be very there's a better word, but we have to basically give folks the ability to come in, use our platform and our audience to show everybody else out there that there's actually Africans out here who are running, whether it's a Tanzanian, whether it's a Kenyan, whether it's a Ghanaian, whether it's a Nigerian, it doesn't matter. Because something that I realized is that our West African brothers and sisters are so far ahead of us when it comes to politics or politicking.
Harvesting opportunities. Yeah.
And having folks sitting in legislative seats or having that ability, they're the ones who shape policies. Those policies are the ones that shape how money is being divvied into the community, how businesses are being impacted, how the Chamber of Commerce is interacting with folks, literally to the point where you can, depending on what county you're in, you can actually get money to help you start a pig farm back home.
Okay.
But it's based upon the policies, settings, and the legislature and the people who are there, and understanding how all of this impacts the folks who are here, and not so much even the folks who are here. Whoever is, we remember we had guys here from the Chamber of Commerce before, right? And so those sorts of things start with people going in and getting into elective office, starting, with your local council, going on the board of education, your PTAs, being a coach for, the local girls team, and you work your way up, and that's how people get to know you, and they realize, oh, there's nothing wrong with this person who comes from place X.
Okay.
So it's okay for this particular person as a member of the society of this county who's a voting blah blah blah, and for it, just because their name doesn't sound like mine doesn't mean that they cannot or they don't have the same issues and problems that we have, because their kids play with my kids.
Yes. So you don't just show up.
Yes.
You don't just show up last minute and say, hey,
no,
I want to run.
You have to start ground game in Anza Mapema.
Mapema.
They start from a lot of them start from Little League. coaching. And by the time that you're running for office, you're someone who has been doing this thing. People have seen it for the last 15 years.
Kwanza parents have seen you.
They've seen you. Umekuwa kwa PTA, umepigana na watu. You are the one who was pulled.
That is true.
You're the one who goes on bus trips when parents don't want to be chaperones, you know, for the baseball thing, and you're sitting with the kids, you know, riding all the way to Miami, you know, and for 10 hours or 15 hours, you know, and people see you. And so a lot of times when now they're like, we need somebody to represent us or somebody to go in and talk about the issues we're having in this school district, yada, yada, yada. Nani is here.
Now, you know, an interesting thing you made has reminded me one thing that I was told about sometimes even doing things locally. You know, like when the local sessions are going on, your local elected representatives, there's certain things that happen that that people rarely pay attention to. So when the local sessions, like your local city council, not many people, they usually have these sessions, not many people attend them unless there's something big, unless there's something major on the news. So what happens is that if you attend those sessions, so the people who normally attend are people in media because they're trying to report what happened in the council. And because normal people don't appear so much, so if they see you there once or twice, people in media will try to talk to you.
Correct.
They will get your contact, and whatever views you have is what will appear in the local media. So once your name appears in the local media, guess now who's paying attention to you? It's those representatives. So that's a small hack that a lot of people don't know. During regular mundane days, wachana na zile siku when people are angry, something has happened and 1,500 people have shown up. Just on normal days, you know, like go talk to media, because media, they're looking for stories beyond what was said there, what happened there. They want to get views of people who are seated there about some of those bylaws that are being passed and everything. So that's a hack that I never quite understood. But it's a very interesting thing I found out. Again, you tuned into the One Mic Show. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We're expecting to hear from you. We don't know who will be the first caller, but this is your opportunity to talk to Hulda. We're encouraging you to call early because at some point we're going to shut off the phone lines. A number of comments here were coming in while we were having this conversation. I see Mwakisha is very, very active. But I think Amin has come back and said and is asking, je, kuna sababu ya kupinga order za Rais Trump kwa jimbo la Minnesota? Anasema jimbo lina haki kukataa order za Rais Trump kutokana na power, ama hiyo ni swali anauliza, je, jimbo lina haki kukataa order za Rais Trump kutokana na power yake kuwa rais wa Amerika? So basically Amin is asking, you know, like does a state like Minnesota have authority to reject an executive order from President Trump, him being the president of the United States?
That's a good and valid question to ask. So yes and no, in the sense that, you know, some of these executive orders have protocol that they need to be followed. Just because an executive orders have been given, there's still a path to executing that executive order.
Okay.
So if it's rooted in you know, law, for example, the immigration executive orders, right? You know, I'm not going to sit here and speak on behalf of the general attorney, the Attorney General for the state of Minnesota. That's who is literally fighting the Trump executive orders. And he's making sure that he is doing everything he can to protect the residents of Minnesota.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that as legislators, we are creating policies and laws within the state that do protect people in their homes.
And is that Attorney General still, is it Keith
Ellison?
Ellison, it's still him.
Yes,
Okay.
it's still him.
Oh,
And
wow.
you know him well enough to
Yes.
know how he operates. And he's about the people and making sure that people do understand what their rights are under the Constitution. Just
Yes.
because there's an executive order, we also have a Constitution that all of us swore to protect. In regards to this idea of controlling Trump, you know, I take it back to the Congress, right? If you understand the structure of the U.S. government, there are three branches for a reason, the checks and balances. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that happening in Congress at the moment. And for me, it's quite frustrating because that is literally the cornerstone of our democracy, the checks and balances that are in place, so that no one particular, the reason why, the folks who migrated here to start a new union, to start a new republic, to start a new, United States, is because they didn't want to have a king, right? And so that's why it was our forefathers of this country created this branches to check each other, and we're seeing that Congress, again, like I said, is not checking the president, especially when we all know he's going against the Constitution of the United States and its people, and for us, especially the Democratic Party. Let me talk about the Democratic Party. We have a long way to go. We are seeing what the Republicans are doing. They have an agenda. And Brother Ali, we talked about this earlier, right? And so, it was disappointing, for example, seeing when the president was giving his address and there was one Democrat who stood up and spoke, right? And then he was escorted out. That was our time to also, all of us, to stand up, not sit there and act like,
to represent our protest.
Exactly, and really make a statement that we are here to stand up on our principles, on our values, and hold him accountable. Because right now, he does control Congress, unfortunately. And so we are seeing a lot of that impact on the average American who is literally just trying to survive, not asking for handouts, trying to survive and provide food on their table, or put a roof over their families. And so as a state, obviously we depend on federal government aid, and we are expecting to see a lot of that rain down on us in terms of cuts to federal aid. Medicaid is one of those things that we are, really nervous about, and how that's going to impact the population, not only from, families, but to the elderly. And so it's going to be a long year, especially in the state of Minnesota and across the country, let's be honest. And it doesn't matter what background you come from, unless you're ultra rich, all of us are going to be impacted by what's going on.
Okay, and we're going to be talking about later the response from the Democrats, because there's a lot, there's kind of a lot left to be desired. Some people are complaining, why does it seem like all these things are happening and there's no fight that's being put up? It's like these things are just moving along. And again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. I want to read some comments here and then come to Bandio on that same question on how can we position ourselves better to help, especially Kenyans, be able to run for some of these seats, so that we can have a voice on the table. Now, one of the questions that came here, before I go to Bandio, really back to you quick, Hulda, is coming from Alan Otis. Alan is asking Representative Momanyi, what is your take on Democrats' frustrations with their leadership in Congress for the vote to evade a government shutdown?
To be honest, there's a lot of factors that goes into some of these things that we are discussing. And, when a government shuts down, that's a whole population of individuals. Each one of us feels it, and so, for example, I can only speak for the state of Minnesota, because that's what I've been just busy trying to figure out, because this is a budget year for us. And so we have a mandate to the people of Minnesota to pass a balanced budget. But because of what's going on from the federal level, and then also in the state of Minnesota, for example, in the House specifically, we are tied. Right? 67 Democrats, 67 Republicans. And that's what the voters voted in November. And so that means we are forced to work together to somehow pass a balanced budget, because we can't do it with just 67. We need 68. And so there's a lot of, challenges and factors that has to play into that. And it's going to be a very difficult task to do, because of the priorities of each party. Ultimately, I'm optimistic that, Minnesota will rise above and do the right thing. But if we have a special session, I won't be surprised either. And so from the federal level, we are dealing with an administration that, is never consistent. You will wake up tomorrow and it's going to be completely different. So I can't sit here and speak on, what's going to happen in regards to the budget, in regards to a government shutdown. Expect the unexpected at this point from this administration.
Okay, asante sana Hulda, and we're going to be talking about a lot. We're shortly going to get to Hulda's Kenya trip. It was a very interesting trip. So many interesting things happened there. We're going to be talking about that shortly. But Mubelwa, back to you real quick on that issue of maybe what better role can the different kinds of new media, like the OneMicShow, for example, in helping or getting name recognition or giving confidence to Kenyans, East Africans, and Tanzanians who are running. Are there Tanzanians who run for local elections in the U.S.? That's another question that I did not ask.
Just Libe. Oh, sorry.
No, not elections in Tanzania.
Boss,
We're talking
but
about
that's the
local
only guy
elections.
we know who
that I
does
know.
anything. Ni Libe tu ndio tunajua. Ama unajua mtu mwingine?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Sijui. Maybe they're there, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
They're probably.
Okay.
Man,
Because I know Kenyans.
I would think there's at least one.
I know multiple.
Why hakuna mtu bana?
Yeah, multiple Kenyans have run. Kuna Wakenya wengi wamesimama, lakini I don't know whether nimesikia Mtanzania amesimama kwa any local elections or maybe Bandio to
I cannot confirm. So, when they say no research, no right to conclude.
Okay.
With
True.
that one, I'm not sure if there is any,
Mhm.
but probably they are. I mean, the country is too big. For that.
And I'm wondering, where is the biggest concentration of Tanzanians in the U.S.?
I would think. I think he used
DMV?
to. No, it's
No.
in Texas.
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 Oh,
I think
See,
so
it's
same
Ohio.
as Kenyans, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's in Texas.
Me, I've always thought it was Ohio. Because
Ohio. What are Tanzanians doing in Ohio?
No.
Ask
There's
him.
quite a few Tanzanians in Ohio. Yeah.
Kama Mende.
Mhm.
Yes.
I don't know about Mende, but I know what.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to answer your question, I think one thing, this is the platform. And what
Yes.
we need to do is just to invite, which is what we're doing.
Mhm.
They need to participate. People need to come in. We invited her and she did show.
Yes.
So this is not only us what we can do, but are they willing to do that?
Okay. Are they seeing any value?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kiswahili unasema unaweza ukampeleka ng'ombe mtoni
Mhm.
ukashindwa kumlazimisha kunywa maji.
Kabisa, yeah.
Right? So we're here, 3 hours a week with the content. It's a talk show. If you're here, we can talk for 3 hours. You're invited to do that. But come, whether you want to run or you have something to teach other people. To me, that's the best thing we can do. And that's why I always enjoy having people here who are willing to share what we know, right? In our way, like Mandela said, when you speak to the people, the language they understand is going to stay in their head. When you speak to their language, and stays in their heart. And that's what she's doing, right? She's one of us. She can speak our language, our struggles, what to do. But are people willing to, one, listen,
Yeah.
two, call and ask, or chime in or engage? We have quite few, but I think we need to get more. So to me, I think we are doing what we're supposed to do.
Mhm.
The road for perfection is always under construction. The one or two things that we need to do better. Totally, yes. Can we do something better? Yeah, maybe we can reach out to more people. But, again, we always say tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you know somebody that you think they have something to our community, let us know, right? It doesn't have to be election,
Yeah.
but, just
Yeah.
to be.
And the shocking thing is that these local elections, they're very interesting because they sometimes don't get a lot of media coverage, but some of them, you really hear people winning by 2 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something that I used to think that, did you mean 200 or 2,000?
No,
2 votes.
Two. In my city, the
Yeah.
mayor of Brooklyn Park, the last race he ran, he won by 2 votes. And this is
Wow.
after we did a recount.
Wow.
At first, it was 1 vote. And then once we did a recount, it ended up being 2 votes.
So that can be 2 people who tuned into a show.
What do you mean? I was door knocking the next year, and I was door knocking at a door, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we didn't even know we were going to vote." These are 3 people in that household who could have
Yes.
voted,
Mhm.
and I told him, he lost by 3 votes, and they were shocked
Yes.
because nobody thinks that races are that close, and that's why, like all of us we've been talking about, we need to, like you said, we need to bring the value to the community. And this is exactly what this platform does, because our people don't understand how this process works. I, for the longest time, didn't understand how this process works. We don't vote in November and that's it. this whole process starts. I think you were talking about building your resume. What are you doing? Mosh, DJ Mosh, you were talking about, these customer things that you're doing, coaching, as you continue to grow, like, how are you involving in your community? Because when you are out there, campaigning, you want to talk about your lived experiences. You can't sit here and talk about something that you haven't gone through.
Correct.
You can't sit here and champion for a cause that you yourself don't even have experience in. Where are you going to draw those stories from out of the blue, right?
And I think this is where Omosh pointed out,
Yeah.
I mean, he said that he wants you to participate so they can see you. But it's only when you participate, you learn more. It gives the fire to fight. It gives you the reason to do that. It gives you some to refer to when you're running or you're helping somebody to run. The issue is we are not engaging, right?
There's no engagement.
So if we are not engaging, if we're not going to those PTA meetings, we're not going to, we miss a lot that people are fighting for. So you need to be engaged, one. So whether you're going to run or you're going to push somebody who's running, just get involved, especially in these local meetings. There's a lot to learn.
Unajua kwanza, like Board of Education meetings.
Yes.
Those are things that people never attend. There was a time in my local, in Montgomery County, there were those redistricting. Redistricting is very controversial and very emotional. So now the problem is people were now showing up towards the end of the process after the lines had already been drawn. And watu walikuwa wanakuja. Some of them want to, like very angry, like, oh, I bought this home because I wanted my child to go to this school. But just that home is on the other side.
It's on the other side.
It's right on the line. This neighborhood, you can see the kids across the neighborhood are going to a different school, not to a different, but because you don't engage from the beginning, the people who show up at the beginning are the ones who determine the direction of this process. And how do you know the beginning? There's no you'll know a beginning if you do not participate.
And I think I want to take us back a little bit.
Yes.
Especially for our people, let me bring it home. You don't know what you don't know.
No.
Right? And so we can sit here all day and beat on this drama of like, our people need to engage. What are they engaging on?
Exactly.
And so that's why platforms like this, where you bring in people who can talk about what it is to participate, how we can participate, where we need to participate, and when we need to do it, I think it's important. And that's what I learned the first time around. I learned that, our people didn't realize that elections starts back in February. When you do what? When you go and caucus for your neighborhood, right? And then from there, you go from caucusing and signing up to be a delegate, right, to now the convention of the particular party that you're a part of. That convention determines who is given that endorsement. And sometimes in certain situations, that endorsement basically gives you the win, depending on, how strong of a pool that district is, right? And then from there, it doesn't end. Just because you got that endorsement doesn't mean that you won't have, there's primaries. A lot of people sit out primaries. If you do not vote in primaries, guess what? Your candidate is not going to be on that, quote, final November ballot where there is nothing you
Elections
can
are
do.
won in primaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, elections are won. Some races are won in February when you come up and sign up to be a delegate.
Wow.
So you can go to the convention and vote, because you can't vote for a candidate unless you are a delegate in that convention. In my district, my fight was during the primaries because I never got that DFL endorsement. And so because my district is predominantly Democratic, it's a Democratic district. And so whoever who won that DFL endorsement was it. My fight, November. I mean, in August at the primaries. That's where I finally secured that endorsement for the DFL party to take me to the November election. So participation is key, but we also need to, especially as elected officials, as folks who are in this space of communication, bringing that message to our people and also bringing value. Let's tell them this is why you need to participate. This is how this space impacts you on a daily basis. Because a lot of times I think we are stuck in this loop, right? We go to school, we go to church, and we go to work. And we recycle.
Yes.
We recycle.
Double shifts. Double shifts.
Mind you, double shifts, right? And we don't participate in this civic engagement. And we are losing out. We have been losing out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's Hulda Mumanyi Hillsley, representative from the state of Minnesota. Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We have Mika on standby. He's going to be talking to us shortly. But before Mika comes in, let me quickly read a few comments here that were coming in while we were having this conversation. Now I can see Mwakisha Mwakisha anasema wako wa Tanzania wanapigania hapa, wao ni socialism, Kenya ni capitalism. Okay, sasa hapa naona naona sasa tumeanza kuelekea mkondo mwingine tofauti. But tell us more, Mwakisha, about this what you're saying about wa Kenya ikiwa capitalism na wa Tanzania socialism. Sasa hata pia hapa US wa Tanzania bado wako ujamaa. Just want to know. And then Mwakisha is saying wako wengi VA. I think this was the time when we were asking about where most Tanzanians are. Anasema wengi wako VA. And then Amin Ali anasema Minnesota is a blue state. What priority is next for election 2028 to remain blue? Any comments? Guests of honor, we're going to talk about that. And then Upper Brown Sugar anasema there's a Tanzanian community in Columbia, Missouri. There we go. Anasema Tanzanian community in Columbia, Missouri.
Everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, the question was where they has concentration, and I think I believe somewhere in Texas.
Okay, so are they engaging in Columbia, Missouri?
Wichita, wako Hawaii.
Oh wow, very interesting. Okay.
Ohio.
Aya, sawa. Mika, one moment. Ngoja utakuja. You're coming in shortly. And then hapa Mwakisha Mwagendi bado anasema mimi ni nusu Mkenya Mtanzania. It seems Mwakisha is trying to play both. Hapa lazima you have to pick a side.
I think alikuwa namjibu wa mimi, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay, but you have to pick a side. Hakuna mambo ya nusu Mkenya, nusu Mtanzania.
Huyo ni nusu mkate.
Hatujui, but anasema nusu Mkenya, nusu Mtanzania. And then hapa Washeke says if it starts at PTA school boards which have the greatest impact on our children. And then Upper Brown Sugar is saying we've already started canvassing for John Ossoff next year's election. That's a congressman in Georgia.
Yes.
Okay.
Senator.
So ni senator. Yes. Okay, not congressman. Okay, the John Ossoff next year's election. That's gonna be a big one. That's gonna be a big one. Reverend Warnock, I don't know whether he's eligible next year. I don't think
he's running.
No, I don't think he's gonna be eligible for election next year. Yake ni, I think it's gonna come in another in
2020.
Watu wa Georgia tuambie when Reverend Warnock will come back for an election. And then Slay hapa has a question, and Slay is asking, by question is like Amina's 8 Democrats re-strategizing for 2028. So hapo, I don't know whether it was a typo. Tell us who Amina is.
Maybe it's Amin Ali. Let me see.
Or anasema Amina's, even though vile ameandika. My question is like Amina's 8 Democrats strategizing for 2028. They are going to present a united front, and most importantly, how are they going to appeal to voters? No, I think
the question is like Amin's.
Okay, Amin's.
Yeah.
Okay.
How Democrats are strategizing for 2028? Are they going to present?
Yeah, and then hapa Mwakisha anasema the beginning matters, hujui usichokijua. Very true. Or I think Slay anajicorrect hapo, anasema meant are. Okay, not Amina. And then Brown Sugar anasema Washeke mapema ndio best because we don't know who the magas will put to run against him. And then Mwakishapa anasema true participation muhimu, kweli tuende kanisa, kazi nyumbani. All right.
That's how most of I don't want to say most of East Africans, but wakitoka kazini, wako nyumbani, then wako kwenye nyumba ibada.
Yeah. Ama part moja umeskip kwenye bar. But Mika, sherehe. Kipiga sherehe. Let's go to Mika Watch. Mika has been listening keenly. Talk to us, Mika. Tell us what you think. About what?
Ama iko kanisani.
Tell us what you think. About what Hulda has been talking about from the beginning of the show, Mika.
Thank you, Sana Ali. Unfortunately, I joined in while you guys were finishing up this discussion. It's been one of those Fridays where work refused to let me. Niko on call na vitu zinaleta shida, so hata sahi inaweza wahepa anytime. But all in all, I caught the windtail of the conversation that you guys were having, mostly about participation. And I like what she said in terms of, yes, we can be castigating people and telling them you guys don't participate in these discussions, but what discussion?
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yes, there needs to be that civic education, that sharing of knowledge that needs to happen within the community so people understand exactly what's at stake and what they need to do. Because if we are seeing what is happening right now, there was an executive order that was signed a few days ago that's supposed to change how elections are held in the country.
Wow.
Right? So this is the moment whereby people need to be taught and be educated on what power they have. Because most people, as we usually assume, I can tell you a lot of people wait to vote in November, every 2 years in November. We're going to vote once every 4 years, right? Because that is the only thing they know about elections. Not that they don't want to participate, is they don't know.
They don't know what they don't know.
What they're participating. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, and then, no, back to you, Ali.
Okay. Sawa sawa. Asante sana Mika Och. But I think one big pickup from what Mika said is that sometimes there's a lot of talk that you're not participating, but you're not participating in what? A lot of you don't know what you don't know. So
the question is, how are you going to know if you're not?
So Sasa, I think that's a challenge that
because to me participating includes showing up or listening to the show like this. Tune in and listen.
But the challenge, Sasa, now to people like Hulda and people now who have experience in this and are trying to get Kenyans to understand, is especially directing people to resources. One good resource that was brought up many years ago was sites like vote4and1.org, whereby you kind of know, because people really don't know. They don't know who the representative in the Board of Education is. They don't know, like who their council representative is. They don't know whether they live in an at-large district. They literally don't know these things.
But Ali, not only, I don't want to say we do that. You do that in this show, right? You break down.
Yes.
We bring these ballots. We talk about that. During ile bill ambayo ilikuwa inaendelea Kenya, it was almost a series to break it down. Right? Tumepeleka ng'ombe kwa mto. Tutamlazimisha kunywa maji.
Ndo hapo sasa.
Doing that. I mean, we expect somebody also to just pick up. Unajua wanasema kuna haki na wajibu, right? Right and responsibility.